Ben Franklin famously said that if you are willing to give up your liberties to secure a little temporary safety, then you deserve neither liberty nor safety. Now, this is a quote that I have been using all of my life. It is not something that I just discovered since the Trump rally article. I remember using this quote way back when I was in college, right after 9/11, when there was definitely a crackdown on the civil liberties in the country. And, we're still feeling the effects of that today. But I think we're going through a very similar time right now in that there will be a period before the coronavirus and after the coronavirus, and those are going to be two fundamentally different things. This is going to be a point in time where people who are alive and usually adults are going to be able to say, things changed for us after the coronavirus. And for my money, one of the things that I am most worried about is the impact on our civil liberties. So I woke up this morning and saw this post from Carrie Smith. Now, if you don't know who Carrie Smith is, she is a host of an amazing YouTube channel called Unsafe Space. I will link them up in the description below. She is one host, Carter Lauren is another host, and they have this great channel where they talk about the social justice warrior ideology and how it is infiltrated every part of our culture, and it has taught me so much. I think that they're just fabulous. Everyone, if you like my videos, you are going to love Unsafe Space, so go and check them out. But I saw this post from Carrie, and I was like, oh my god, like what is happening in our country? And essentially, it is of the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation publicly shaming people. Now, if in your head right now you are thinking, is the best answer to solve the problem of people not doing the things that we want them to do, the best possible answer, is it public shaming? Could that be the best way to go about this? If you're actually asking yourself that question, the answer is no. The answer is obviously no. And I'm sorry, but I don't care. I don't care what Styles by Britney has done. And let's just read this for everyone. Hello, Styles by Britney. It's been brought to our attention that you are offering to provide barbering, cosmetology, including hair, nails, and skincare and hair removal, and massage therapy services during the governor's COVID-19 executive order. Please be advised that in addition to criminal penalties under the executive order, there are potential it's not too long, didn't read. It's Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation that could subject you to administrative fines and sanction. Please keep yourself and others safe by not providing services at this time. Now, I don't want to address the issue of, is it okay for Styles by Brittany B to be providing these services out of presumably her home? I think that everyone should be taking precautions right now. We should be taking common sense precautions to keep ourselves safe. But you know what? Frankly, I don't care if Styles by Brittany B is providing these services out of her home, frankly, because that is her home and people are choosing to go there to receive these services. And who is the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation to say, no, you can't go to someone's home to receive these services? That's your choice. If they get sick, that is on them. And certainly, I think that the very worst way to combat this type of thing is to publicly shame them on your Facebook page with 48,000 followers. Like, of all the ways you could handle this scenario, you could call them up, you could have a conversation, you could explain one-on-one why this is important. There are so many steps that should come before public shaming. But this is just one example of crazy ways that our liberties are under attack in this area of COVID-19. And we're going to talk about some of those other ways. But before we get into that, real quick, hey guys, guess what? So many of you have asked me like how you can support me through crowdfunding and all of that, and I'd kind of been dragging my feet on it simply because I was like really busy with other stuff. But I have finally launched this little mini website that is separate from my business site. A lot of you have been reaching out to me through zenworkplace.com. If you have business related inquiries, please feel free to keep reaching out to me there. But if you're just looking to get in touch with me personally, go to drcarlin.com, DRKARLYN. It's in the link below, and there you're going to be able to find how you can donate and support this work. Listen, guys, this is something I'm doing for fun, and I really like doing it, but it does take my time and it does take my resources. Now, I would love to be able to dedicate as much time to this as possible, but I also have a mortgage to pay, and other things. So if you have the resources to do so and you want to support my work, you can do it through giving via PayPal if you want to, or my recommendation is to make a monthly gift through Subscribestar. Subscriptions start at $5 a month. There are all sorts of perks associated with each of them. And listen, lots of you have asked me to launch a podcast. Yo, I'm game, but I know podcasts take a lot of time because I've done them before and they take a lot of time. So I do have a goal of $2,000 per month in contributions for me to get moving on a podcast, simply because it's got to be financially viable. And listen, there's like, as of this recording, like 18,000 people subscribe to this channel. So if just a couple of hundred of you give at like the $10 a month level, or even like the $5 a month level, take a little bit more, then we can get that podcast up and running. So we can make it work as long as everyone wants to participate. Again, I know times are tough. Please do not give to me if you are struggling financially. I don't want that. But if you want to support my work and if you want to see this podcast come alive, hey, you can find out more information in the description below. But let's go back to crazy things that are happening during the era of COVID-19, because this post reminded me of another post that I saw from Nicole Pratt, who is an awesome lady, also participates in the Unsafe Space chats along with me. And she posted this picture of this sign at Walmart in Vermont the other day, basically telling people you can't buy stuff to garden. I'm like, because it's not essential. Like, we're stuck at home. Like, this is like the perfect time to start a garden. Why don't you want to give people activities that they can do that they're stuck at home? Like, this is not part of social distancing. You selling someone seed to plant in their garden is not going to help stem the cases of COVID-19. One does not relate to the other. So why can't Walmart sell these seeds? It absolutely just makes no sense. And then there are other cases that have come up too, like this insane case of a paddleboarder in Los Angeles who's, listen, look at the picture, dude. Literally, dude is out in the middle of the ocean all by himself, not another person around, and he gets arrested. So let's take a quick look at this story. A paddleboarder was arrested Thursday after ignoring lifeguards' orders to get out of the ocean near Malibu Pier. County lifeguards patrolling the shore by boat tried to get the man to come ashore. Despite repeated orders to exit the water, the man continued to paddleboarding for at least 30 minutes. Lifeguards eventually flagged down the Los Angeles County Sheriff. Like, how many people were involved in getting this one dude out of the water to respond for help? The man, who was not identified by authorities, eventually made his way to the beach, where he was arrested on suspicion of disobeying a lifeguard and violating Governor Gavin Newsom's stay-at-home order, a misdemeanor. Photographs from the scene show the man in handcuffs being led away by two deputies. And I don't think the photos are in this story, but if you see, like, dude is socially distancing in this photo. He's fine, he's by himself, and then he gets arrested, and you see these photos of him being walked down the beach with two sheriff's deputies. No one's socially distancing in that scenario. Like, what are you doing? This makes no sense. And furthermore, he could face jail time over this. He was booked at a sheriff's station in Calabasas and released on the promise to appear in court, sheriff's officials said. The man faces a fine of $1,000 or 6 months in jail, or both, if convicted of violating a state order. And he's not the only one, because a surfer in Manhattan Beach was fined $1,000 last week because he was accused of similarly ignoring warnings by police and lifeguards cautioning him not to go in the water. I thought that the whole point of all of this was to socially distance ourselves from other people. How is that dude not socially distancing himself? There's no one else there. Why are you putting resources, which frankly, in Los Angeles, do they have nothing better to do right now than arrest the dude paddleboarding by himself in the water? That is his choice. That is his choice. He's not assembling with anyone. He's not in a group of people. There's no evidence to say that there was anyone else even around, but how many people put time and energy into arresting this dude who was in the ocean by himself? And listen, in LA right now, the mayor is actively encouraging residents to snitch on one another. Like, how crazy is this? Los Angeles mayor said this week that snitches in his city will get rewards if they tattle on their neighbors who could be violating the stay-at-home orders put in place to curb the spread of the novel coronavirus. If any non-essential businesses continue to operate in violation of the stay-at-home order, we're going to act to enforce the safer at-home order and ensure their compliance. The mayor's office said that city officials with officers from the Los Angeles Police Department, again, do they have nothing better to do? Really? Had visited more than 500 businesses that had not complied with this order. His office said 4 businesses have already been referred for misdemeanor filings. You know the expression about snitches, he said. Well, in this case, snitches get rewards. We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe. So this is what we come to. We are tattling on our neighbors. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like I don't have enough to worry about that I have to worry about like the old lady 3 houses down from me tattling that I went to the supermarket. Like, I swear, like, what is going on? Why do people think this is okay? Why are people so willing to give up their liberties for the pretense of a little temporary safety? I mean, maybe it's because I live in New Hampshire. We are the live free or die state, but I don't understand. I mean, we don't even have that many cases here. So why should I have to worry if my neighbor 2 doors down is going to tattle on me for going to the supermarket? Or later, I have an interview and my husband is going to go take the dogs for a ride in the car for a little while so that they don't bark during my interview. Is he going to get tattled on for that? Are you serious? And this article from the Harvard Gazette actually, it pinpointed that this we don't really know what legal ground we're standing on here, folks. In the past week alone, the spread of COVID-19 has caused federal and state governments to take measures that would have seemed extreme just weeks earlier. Shutdown of businesses, closing of borders, and curtailing of large gatherings. By Friday, 1 in 5 Americans has been asked by state and local officials in places like California, New York, and Illinois to stay home. Under most circumstances, this might be seen as an attack on civil liberties. You think? Yet there are moments in history when the normal rules don't apply, and 2 of Harvard's legal experts suggested we are now living in that time. Now, this is from Harvard. Think of that what you will, but frankly, these are legal experts who other people listen to, and so let's listen to their rationale. While Harvard's faculty members Charles Freed and Nancy Gertner agree that the coronavirus situation is distressing on a number of levels, both say the restriction on personal freedom is largely appropriate for the circumstance. This is a black swan event, one without modern precedent. Most people are worrying about restrictions on meetings. That's freedom of association. And about being made to stay in one place, which I suppose is a restriction on liberty. But none of these liberties is absolute. They can all be abrogated for compelling grounds, and in this case, the compelling ground is the public health emergency. I'm sorry. None of our liberties are absolute. I thought the Constitution made it clear that there are several liberties that are absolutely absolute. Like, what? I'm sorry. This, he says, calls for unique measures to be taken. So much about this is unique. The extreme danger, the unpredictability, the fact is that it is everywhere. Maybe the situation after 9/11 is comparable, when there were sleeper cells all over. But even that was much more focused. This is widespread, dispersed in all 50 states. He says it's unlikely that anyone would have a case against the government for loss of business. I don't think you can demand compensation because the government didn't put you out of business. Circumstances did. And it's not a permanent deprivation if you go out of business. I'm sorry, the government actually did force people to go out of business. That's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on here. The government is literally forcing people to go out of business and offering rewards for people who snitch on other people that are not adhering to the guidelines. That's actually exactly what's happening. And once you go out of business, man, there are a lot of businesses that are going to be able to be rebuilt. I think my business is going to bounce back pretty quickly. I'm not that worried about it, but there are a lot of businesses that are not going to come back from this. So it is a permanent deprivation. What is happening right now? And they can take all the measures in the world. And frankly, I think they're doing a pretty good job. I don't actually have, there are always tweaks that you can make, but I actually don't have much negative to say about the job that they're trying to do. But to say that this is not a permanent deprivation is just completely wrong. A murkier issue, he says, is the place of free speech at a time when false information, such as the incorrect self-test guides being shared on social media, can be especially harmful. But any effect believes falsehoods online would be particularly hard to enforce. It seems to me that certain information can be dangerously false. Say if someone is told on social media that they are not allowed to go to the emergency room when they are. But what exactly can you do about that? You could direct Facebook to scan for things like that, but it's hard to see where you could effectively target the maker of the false statement. I'll even go further. Who decides what's false? Who gets to decide? Because I don't want Facebook or any other social media platform deciding what is false information. And frankly, there's so much insanity. Dude, there is much insanity. The conspiracy theories, especially lately, are driving me particularly crazy. But I don't want any social media platform to be the arbiter of what I can and cannot listen to. I will decide for myself what information I can and cannot listen to and how to interpret that information. And that's my personal responsibility. Nancy, a senior lecturer on law and a retired federal judge, suggests that we may be seeing stronger restriction in days to come. Oh, goody. The premise for any quarantine would be a public health emergency, and the limits of that aren't clear. Clearly, state and local governments have the authority to declare an emergency and take steps to mitigate that. The federal government has more limited powers, but it can address transportation between the states and international travel. How far could they go? Who knows, is the answer. Could they tell people to stay in their homes given the nature of the virus? Probably. Well, that's really great, Nancy. What the government probably can't do, she says, is target individuals through tapping of phones, for instance, or target one's business or similar ones for a shutdown. I'm sorry. Again, really? Really? They're doing that, dude. Otherwise, the common good will outweigh individual freedoms. Once there is a declaration of an emergency, what the government can do depends on the scope of the emergency. There is a concept of a government going too far, but it's hard to imagine what that would be in this situation. It's hard to imagine what the government going too far could look like in this situation. Listen, again, I am all for people right now being smart, staying home, washing your hands, using whatever hand sanitizer you have. I have all these little hand sanitizers I got at conferences that are coming in super, super, super handy right now. I'll tell you what. But, when you start getting to the point where you're arresting people, where you're fining people, where you are restricting that people can buy seeds to plant in their gardens, when you're telling people to snitch on their neighbors, what are we doing, folks? And how much more are we going to tolerate? I don't know the answer to this, but it's making me nervous. I'm not nervous about getting the virus at all. I'm just not. I live in New Hampshire. I'm pretty safe. I take a lot of precautions. I'm very mindful of it. I'm not really around. The only person I'm really around on any regular basis is my husband, and he's working from home now too. I was never scared of getting the virus. I am far more terrified of a government taking liberties taking our liberties away and then not giving them back. That concerns me far more, and frankly, I think it should concern you too. How much are you willing to give up? That's the question we should be thinking about.